So as always, the Minding Your Business podcast is brought to you by Brooks Brothers Consulting. Brooks Brothers Consulting was started by my brother Philip, who's actually getting married on tomorrow. So shout out to Philip, shout out to his wonderful bride Kelly. On tomorrow they will be getting married, and I will be in the house as Big Bro. So you know how I do. I go be there, and if anybody jumps up to object, then I'm going to serve as the bouncers too. So, but Philip and I started Brooks Brothers Consulting in 2013. We do leadership and banking consulting. We work with several financial institutions, develop leadership programs and whatnot for their management team, whether it's managers, directors, or executives. And we also do lending. So we do alternative financing. Shout out to John White with Intro Business Solutions. We do alternative financing, personal and professional. If you're looking to purchase an asset for your business to drive revenue, whether that's equipment, whether that's rental property, commercial property, you're looking to do consumer financing, you're looking to factor, whatever that is, we've got solutions for you with over 4,000 private lenders around the country that have platforms and are looking for folks just like you. So what you need to do is when you get done with the podcast, you need to call 901-808-3801 or you need to visit www.brooksbrothersconsulting.com. That's brooksbrothersconsulting.com is the move that you need to make. Listen, today's episode 59. We're at episode 59. And I'm extremely excited about that. And I want to introduce today's guest with no delay. But first, you know what we got to do? What's that? You got to hit the music for me.
What we do here is go back.
So thank you so much for joining. I am your host, Champ Ron. This is the Minding Your Business podcast coming to you on Friday, August the 31st of 2018. So we're 8 months in, y'all. We're coming up on September. We're going to round out this third quarter, and then it's going to be fourth quarter, if you can believe it. I'm here live at the Hub, which is at 6000 Briarcrest inside High Point Church. I've been coming here some. You also see me come from Slice of Soul Pizza Lounge at 1299 Madison Avenue. So, you know, I like to be here and be amongst the people. Shout out to the Facebook Live audience that we have today. They've taken they stepped out of Aretha Franklin's funeral to join us here on the podcast. And definitely shout out to Aretha Franklin's family and to the life and legacy of Aretha Franklin. Her funeral is going on now, and many people are in Detroit to pay their respects to the legend that was Aretha Franklin. And a lot of people have personal stories. And for those that don't know, Aretha's early beginnings began here in Memphis, Tennessee. So for those listening on the podcast or you're on Facebook Live and you're not familiar with her backgrounds hail from South Memphis. And so we're definitely celebrating her on this week. Many people are also celebrating the life of Senator John McCain from Arizona, who passed away earlier this week. And so definitely recognizing his family and his life transition. Of course, some things that are going on real quick. Y'all's President Donald John Trump, the President of the United States, number 45. he decided that, of course, Congress has to approve it, but there are no pay raises for the government in 2019. So, aside from the military. So, the military is getting a 2.6% increase, but other government workers, per the president, are not getting an increase. Normally, it'd be 2.1% increase that they get in January. They're not going to get that. Coca-Cola purchased a England Starbucks competitor called Costa. So they purchased them for $5.1 billion with a B dollars. That was done on this week. SurveyMonkey filed for an IPO on this week. If you're familiar, you might have used SurveyMonkey.com to do some survey stuff. Normally it's kind of free, or they may have some payment options or whatnot, but anyway, they've got 600,000 users, but they've lost so far this year $27.2 million. So that's what the IPO is for, is working capital, I imagine, and to do some things. So that's for SurveyMonkey. Listen, something near and dear to my heart that came out this week. There was a report that was done on the average cost of childcare. I've talked about this on the podcast. And y'all know I have 3 daughters, and 2015 was one of those years. That's where I lost my hair, because I was paying for childcare for 3 girls. The average cost of childcare in America, let me tell y'all this. What do y'all think the average cost of childcare in America is? I'll tell you. It's $1,385 a month. That's the average childcare cost in this country. The average rent in this country, y'all know I talked about the Zillow report a few weeks ago. The average rent is $1,500. So the average childcare is approaching the same cost as rent. So y'all keep that in mind during this holiday weekend when y'all laying down doing whatever y'all doing. The average cost of childcare is $1,385 is the average cost. So those are just a few things that were going on this week, and there's many other things, local, national, and around the country. Listen, I'm excited about today's episode because I've got a very special guest that's actually, she's on the West Coast in San Francisco. She's going to join me via Facebook Live, and that is Miss Allison Tibbs. And so I want to invite her on. She's going to join, and I'm going to let her come in her own way, because we've got a lot to discuss with her as it relates to, mental health and physical health are uber critical. They always have been, and they're going to continue to be as we have this hyper kind of work environment, and people are super busy. People are starting businesses, and people are into various activities and organizations, events, and things of that nature. And so I want to have her join on here in just a second. So let's see, Allison, let's see. Allison, I've given you the invite so you can join at your leisure here. But Allison is a healthy lifestyle expert, and she is a coach. She's a trainer and whatnot. And so we want to have her join. Let's see. Allison, if you should receive an invite somewhere down there, and we can have you join on the split screen here on Facebook Live on the Minding Your Business podcast. But that's Allison Tibbs, and we're extremely excited for her for a number of reasons. One, and we had Dr. Teresa Woodard on last week, and she talked some about health and things like that. So we want to make sure that we continue that with her joining in. So let's see. Allison, are you there? Let's see. And while we're waiting on her, when you're a business owner, or you're just busy, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner. You could be busy with a lot of different tasks. It's critical that you maintain and watch your mental health and your physical health. I read an article, man, actually on last night as I was preparing for my conversation with Allison. I was reading an article about some NBA players who have been outspoken and sharing. There she is. I'll get back to that here in just a second. So there she is. She joins us. Woo! Yes, I'm glad to have her. So this is my special guest, Allison Tibbs. Allison is, as I mentioned, a healthy lifestyle expert. Allison, what's up?
Hi, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited. I'm super excited.
Yes, I am so excited to have you on. And we had a chance to kind of download earlier in the week and got a really good feel for you. And I want to jump in, if that's okay, because there's audience that wants to know all about you and all about how you can help and how you're helping people. So, Allison, tell us a little bit just about yourself and, what's your background, what's your story, and, how did you get into, kind of fitness and health and personal training?
Yeah, pretty interesting, right now that we're on a call about, or a podcast about fitness and all those things. That's actually how I started out. I was business person. I worked for marketing, PR, communications. Working downtown Chicago, then working downtown in Manhattan, and then New York. And then at 25, I realized two different things. One, I realized that I'm a horrible employee and that I'm not meant to work for a large corporation. And two, I also realized that the nature of what I was doing, working the long hours, being in the hustle and grind in New York in a corporate setting, it really, really created a lot of things in York. I would say a lot of things bubbled up. Anxiety, panic attacks, not really taking care of myself, being super stressed, kind of falling into that undernourished, over-caffeinated mentality. Long health wasn't that great. I was gaining weight. My skin wasn't doing well. And so I quit my job at 25 and I moved to Europe. So I was in Europe for about a year. Not 11 months, I would say. And in that process, I was there. I was, cooking my own food. I was eating better. I was getting a lot of nature, getting outside. I was hiking. I was walking, doing all these things. And, it was really, really interesting to see how I just changed. My body changed. Everything was just so different. And then I came back to the States and gained weight back. All the challenges, all the struggles, all the health things that I had started to come back. And that's when I first thought. I was like, wait a minute. Something is going on.
Right, something's not right.
Something's not,
right.
What's happening here? And that's really when I started to make the shift of looking deeper into health and wellness, and more so for myself. I was more so looking at it for my own, how to help myself, well-being, and things like that. And then I started sharing on social media. I started blogging about it, creating YouTube videos, doing different things. And from there, that's where things just began to take off. Where, now, as you mentioned, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a nutrition coach, I'm a healthy lifestyle coach. I speak all over the country, speak all over Europe on wellness and all these different things. Because of that, because of my journey, and realizing that there's so much information out there about fitness, nutrition, wellness, but it can be confusing and it can be frustrating. So that's kind of where I kind of live now, is trying to get people just to understand and to think about their own wellness, their own nutrition in a very different way.
Yeah. Excellent. So it's interesting when you say that, Allison, because, talk about, so you left the country and, so what specifically happened when you came back in the States that caused you to gain weight? Was it the type of food you were eating? Was it time of day? Was it lack of exercise, lack of sleep? What were some of the things that contributed to, as you returned, that caused that?
Honestly, I would say the lifestyle. I think that the America, we glorify this hustle mentality. We glorify being busy. We glorify, grinding and hustling and doing all these things. And they aren't bad. But I think that eventually we have to realize that, we're not machines. We're not ran by, a motherboard. We're not ran by petrol or fuel. We're skin and bones and muscles and a brain and a heart and emotions and all these things. And so I think what happens is that we get stuck in this idea of like, in order to be successful, in order to do this, we have to do this thing.
Right.
And what that thing does, it keeps us from sleep. It keeps us from eating properly. It keeps us from doing all these different things. And so I think, honestly, when I came back from Europe, the biggest thing that I noticed was I was immediately drawn back into this hustle mentality. And it's not necessarily, for a long period of time, that hustle mentality, your body will eventually burn out. You start eating bad foods, your sleep habits get, whatever. You have to rely on stimulants, coffee, sugar. Your body starts craving things. And then, don't get me started on portion control and our food. You know what I mean? In Europe, they didn't have that. In Europe, the food was really clean. They had higher regulations. So you take all of that into a mix, and naturally, you just fall into that.
Right. Yep, definitely. So I want to touch on that here some more, but I know that you're part of some different brands and some things like that. So can you share with us, kind of some of the different brands that you work with and are a part of? And
Yeah, I think that some things that I've been doing as of late is it's interesting because up until about, I'm in my mid-30s now, and I had this very, mentality of you have to, food and sleep and all these things can be really beneficial. Like, I don't need to supplement my diet with anything. I don't need to do these things. And then the more research I did, the more I realized that even as healthy and clean as I eat and all the workouts I do, that I could probably use a little bit more help. Again, with the food regulations and everything. So supplementation has been a really big part of my diet and what I've been doing lately. One thing, as a lot of people know about me, the person that I love, kind of like my daily thing, the thing that I do every single day is I always do a meal replacement shake. I always do a real meal replacement shake just because I'm always on the go. I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm running to my first client, gym, then going to the track, then my own workouts, and then coaching, and then consulting, and teaching a fitness class all over the place. So sometimes you can't just sit down a really good, packed meal. So the first thing I always do is a meal replacement shake. And I always tell people, it's not a protein shake. It's really a meal replacement shake. So if you do like smoothies or whatever, just make sure that it's a really comprehensive thing. My smoothie of choice is called Shakeology, and it's really, really great because it just has everything that you need in it. Another thing that I do is kombucha. About 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I got really, really sick. And it was kind of around when I left to go to Europe. That was about 2 years before that. Noticing just things weren't right. And I remember the doctor, he gave me this long list of all these fermented foods he wanted me to eat. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm not eating fermented whatever. It was just gross. And I was like, where do I find it? How do I make it? I tried to make it at home. I'll smell like a sewage plant. I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And then, like, no. I love my health, but also I love, not feeling nauseous. And so from there, I discovered kombucha. And it was kind of like the thing, too, because I don't drink a lot of soda and I don't drink a lot of caffeine. And so I found that kombucha became this really, really cool thing that I could start to drink that had these probiotics. And although Shakeology has probiotics, so does kombucha. And so now I've been really playing around with different brands with kombucha. So Wonder Drink is one that I've been doing a lot of that I really, really enjoy. And also kind of going back with the basis of kombucha is also the probiotic. So I also take a probiotic daily, which is called Just Thrive. And then lastly, if anyone follows me on Facebook or social media, they see like my workouts are pretty intense.
Yeah.
And I really, as I'm getting older, I just need a little bit more help to get through the workout. I need some help to just kind of like replenish my body after, because I can't really afford to be so sore at the end of the day. So, recently, you know that feeling, like you have a great workout, then like you're sore, and you can't do anything.
Oh, trust, I know all about that.
So it's like this horrible cycle that we fall into. So Recently, I've been looking at some different ways to supplement my workouts. I'm training for a half marathon coming up in a week. Then I have a decathlon coming up in October. So that's been a big thing. So 2 different things that I do for my workouts in particular. One is I do a pre-workout. It helps to get me through the workout. And I use, it's called Energize, it's all natural. And then recently I've gotten into a new supplement called Real Muscle.
Yeah.
And it's REAL.
Yeah, it's got the 2 A's in it, so yeah.
Yes, because it's essential amino acids. And at first I was kind of like, I don't need to do that. I have my protein shake after. And what I realized was a couple of different things. One, whey isolate, whey protein, that's for a lot of people can't process and digest it. And so people have issues with their gut and things like that. So that's the first thing. I was like, I'm not really big into that. And 2, I like something that I can drink during and after. Because I don't drink enough water. So that's another thing too. I can drink something that has like a little scoop of something and drink that. So using Real really helped me. Yeah, I know. And there's no coffee, it's actually water.
I got it.
Trick my body into thinking that I'm like drinking other stuff. So that's kind of what I do.
Right.
But it's tea, it's just water. But that's what I really liked about it. And the more research that I did on Real, and the more research I did on essential amino acids, it's just a simple fact that our body can really benefit from it, but it's hard to get it from our food sources. And, it's hard to get it naturally occurring in our body. And I will say, with supplementation and using those things, it's really been beneficial and has really changed how I perform. And that's the thing, I think we have to understand that supplementation. And since we're talking about entrepreneurs, we're talking about things like these are things too to think about. These are hacks, right? Like these are things that you can do that can help you along the way, and that are healthier than coffee or that 3 p.m. donut or eating things that are really unhealthy. Is that if we can learn to supplement our diet with these things, supplement our workouts, we perform better, we have more mental clarity, and a lot of different things as well can be a big part of that. So it's just really being a bit more open-minded, because if I wouldn't have it would have stuck to my guns, like, if I'm not good, then I wouldn't have. But, being able to start my day in the morning with a shake, being able to take a probiotic or a kombucha to give me some more energy for the day, having some energy before my workout, and then muscling through my work, it just makes my performance so much better.
Yeah, definitely. And so I know with Real Muscle, you're able to find them. I think is it www.realmuscle.com? I know it's with the 2 A's. Yeah.
It's 2 A's, it's like amino acids. Yeah.
So people that are interested in what Allison's referring to in terms of that particular brand, you can go to www.realmuscle. So that's REAAL. So make sure you get the 2 A's in there. REAALMUSCLE.com. So, thanks for sharing that so much. Yep. So, Allison's got it for sure. So, one of the things that I've seen here recently that's kind of been in the news, Allison, that I wanted to get your take on is whether it's business owners or pro athletes or folks like that, everybody's becoming a little bit more conscious and in some cases a little more open to speaking about their challenges with mental health. Can you share kind of your thoughts, around that, and kind of, maybe some best practices or tidbits for people that maybe have identified or maybe became a little bit more aware of having mental issues and how it's always had a stigma and things like that. And now people are becoming a little bit more comfortable, and the platform is there for people to not just speak on it, but then begin to address it.
Yeah. I think that we're moving into, to your point, we're moving into this new playing field where, and I'm going to use the word high performers, because I think you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a professional athlete, you can be a CEO of a company, you can be a stay-at-home parent, you can be a caregiver. All of those things require you to perform at a level that is where you have to be on all the time. You have to be mentally focused, emotionally intelligent. You have to be grounded within yourself. You can do all these things, and that comes at a cost. And I don't think that we thought about that back in the day. I think again we went back to this thought of like hustle, grind. And again, we're not machines. So what happens when we fall into that, mentality, there are ramifications that aren't just but that, you know, some people chemically can't manage. And I'm one of those people. Chemically, I can't, it's hard for me sometimes. And I have been very open about the fact that I've been depressed, you know, that I've survived 2 failed suicide attempts, that I have had panic attacks.
Well, 2
anxiety,
failed suicide attempts? Whoa.
And here's, like, you know, and now I talk about it now, and I'm totally fine with it, but it's one of those things where the first time that it happened, it's like, I can't even get that right. Like, that was my thought process.
Wow.
You know, when you're so depressed and you're so bogged down by the world, the weight of the world, you start thinking differently. And, you know, chemically, I just couldn't deal. And for a long time, I kept it to myself. I struggled in silence and solitude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that. For one, we don't know what to do about it. We don't know where to go. You're afraid of the stigma. You know, if you're a high performer,
right.
You know, I can't remember. There was a CEO, a founder of a tech startup, and I can't remember the company, but it was like maybe 5 years ago or 3 years ago, and he had a mental breakdown. It was like on the side of the road, just like, you know, kind of just not really great. And it was really, really interesting because, you know, as a person where people depend on you and things like that, if you are not at that level, then there's judgment. There's fear of judgment because now you're vulnerable. Now you're weak. Now you know, can we trust you to lead our company? Can we trust you to be the quarterback on our team? Trust you to do all these things? And the reality is, of course you can. But we internalize that. And I think as high performers in general, the biggest thing to understand is that self-care is one of the most important things that you should do. I mean, just recently, Serena Williams talked about postpartum depression.
Right, exactly.
Here she is, one of the best, I would say one of the greatest athletes that we have.
Oh, no doubt.
And who was, right, okay, like, I just got to make sure I give her the props that she's due. But one of the greatest athletes of all time being vulnerable and saying, I struggled with postpartum depression. This is something that was really, really hard for me. And for people to be like, me too. Okay, she's not perfect. She is human. And I think as high performers, we forget that we are human beings. We forget that we are not perfect, that we are, in some cases, amazing in one area, and we can be very broken in another.
Right.
It doesn't negate or it doesn't determine our level to be successful or to accomplish a goal set forward. And personally, that was my issue. My issue was I didn't want people to know that I was broken. I didn't want people to know about depression and suicide. I didn't want people to know about that. I didn't want people to know that I was in therapy. Like, because of the culture that I grew up in as well, we talk about that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people of color across the board, we don't really talk about that. You know, we'll err on, and there's nothing wrong with this, but what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of times in my life, it was prayer, church. Right. And that is very important in my life.
Yeah.
And I still hold true to that. And realizing that I may need to be on a medication to help me, or I may need to have a therapist who can help me just talk through it, or self-care. I think that Lawrence had said self-care is key. Anyone who knows me, I'm huge on self-care. And so, you know, if you are a person right now who's struggling with that and struggling with, you know, depression or just like anxiousness, or, you know, you're exhausted or adrenal fatigue, there are all these things that happen. If you're going through that, figure out what's going to work best for you. That's what I would say. You know, I tried so hard to fight against, you know, seeking professional help. My mom is, she's certified in emotional health. Yeah. And, you know, one day I was on the phone with her, and I was just like crying. And I'm just like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm just tired. And it wasn't like I'm physically tired, I need to take a nap. It's like the weight of the world and the expectations of everyone for me to be, do, say, behave, respond, it is heavy. And I can't carry this load anymore. And if I don't, I'm going to crack. And in tears in my eyes, sitting in a Trader Joe's parking lot, she just says, Allison, you need a therapist. You need a therapist.
Yeah.
And, my mom's a praying mom, and for her to say that, that's when it was like, yeah, I do. I need that help.
Yeah.
And so I think as a high performer, running a business, running a household, operating, leading a team, whatever it is to find these things that you can do to help you through the day.
Yeah.
I'm a big. Here's something. So I think I think all of our listeners can appreciate this. Some of the most successful people in the world are those who have rituals and those who have routines.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Like President Obama, he said, I read an article in Vanity Fair, it was a great article, and one that stuck out to me was, he said that the reason why he wears the same suit every day is because it's one less decision he has.
Right.
He can just reach into his closet, pull out his suit, and go. That's one, because he has big decisions to make.
Right.
And he either splits how much with the red tie, blue tie, black tie, this shirt. Like, no, bro, you need to run our country.
Right. Right, exactly.
We don't want yourself there. I want your thought to be on the bigger issues. Steve Jobs, the same. Well, also, so I'm also on IG Live, so my girl Kelsey just said, also because Michelle chooses it for him. So behind every strong high performer is always someone who has their back. So that's also something too. But yeah, having those rituals and having those routines and having structure and processes, they aren't fun, they aren't sexy, they aren't
right.
They don't give spontaneity in life. But if you're a person who needs that structure to give your brain just something to rest and to give you that, then it's worth giving a shot. Every morning I start my day. Hi, Kenny. Sorry, people are all over, so now I'm saying hi to different people. But for me, I start my day the same way every single morning, and I've been doing this for 8 years. And it's a lot of self-reflection, self-intention. What's my intention for the day? What am I grateful for? What am I looking forward to? Taking that moment of silence, not immediately hopping on my phone to see who texted me or emailed me. Giving myself a moment to just be present in the moment before I do that. Right. Because if you start your day and the first thing you do is you grab your phone, you are now digesting and downloading everyone else's urgencies and problems and processes and urgencies.
Yeah, we say that all the time. I mean, and my guy Ojinga Carr, who's on here, he says that all the time, and I say that, don't start your day. Many people, like you said, Allison, as soon as they get out of bed, before they do anything, before they, go to the bathroom, before they check on anybody else in the house, the first thing they do is grab that device and start scrolling through timelines and get enamored with everybody else's life. And you're right. I've had to learn that myself with 3 young girls, spouse, career, business, all these different things. I've had to put some kind of structure, because those things can eat you up and have you in this rut to where you don't know really what's going on. You're just reacting to life, and before you know it, you miss yourself. You lose yourself. And health and wellness and fitness and all that kind of goes out the window. At the same time, you start getting a little age on you, and that metabolism slows down, right? And so, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and so I think and to that point, what I don't, because this is also very new. We're in a new age, right? So we are still. Let's see, there was just an article that just came out, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, about how social media impacts our mental health. So if you think about it, if you start your day and the first thing you're doing is you're scrolling through and seeing people being perfectly coiffed hair, their perfect kids going off to school, and I'm guilty of it. I try to be authentic, more so on Instagram. I'm more authentic on Facebook, but if you go to my Instagram page, I'm posting a perfectly plated dish of pasteurized, grass-fed, cage-free eggs, avocados on sprouted toast, and a cup of fair trade decaf coffee because I don't want to drink too much caffeine. So I know I'm part of the problem too, as well. Right. But we do that, and we don't realize when you download all that stuff and you don't connect with yourself, that's a problem. And we don't realize the impact of our mental and emotional state on our ability to perform at a level that needs to be there. You know, whether it's in your workouts, whether it's if you're giving a presentation, if you're having a meeting, if you're just, again, running your household.
Yeah.
You know, if you aren't emotionally and stable there, and, you know, then you find yourself spazzing out at your child for, you know, not putting the ketchup lid on properly because they're 3 and they don't really have the best hand-eye coordination right now.
Right.
But yet now all the pressures fall on this 3-year-old who's like trying to be helpful.
Right.
You scream at your spouse or your dog or whatever, or you lash out. You know, I remember when I was going through a really hard time, you know, and again, that period of my life was dark. When I think back to that time in my life, literally a lot of the memories are just black with flashes of red.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what I remember. Like I remember more of like these sensations. I remember less about what I did. And I remember, you know, just lashing out at people or just sleeping all the time or, you know, not being the best partner in my relationships because I couldn't deal. And, you know, if you were in that position, it is important. You know, I think Lawrence, you know, said it, self-love,
right.
self-care. Jason saying, you know, having that structure and processes. We have to be more proactive to creating these safety nets to give us whatever we need. And sometimes it's going to be seeking professional help. Sometimes it's going to be meditation, yoga, exercise, sleep, diet, nutrition, all these different things, supplementation. It doesn't really matter, but it's figuring out what's going to work best for you.
Right.
And that's what I would tell anything that I talk about is it's never just a way. There are many different ways. I will give you tools, I will give you opportunities, but I will definitely make sure to share that and let you figure out and test it out because each person's going to be different. Right,
exactly. And so Shay Brown with Royal Kingdom PR and our great buddy, our great friend there, she has a question that says, has fitness been the game changer?
Okay.
Honestly, guys, that was it for me. You know, if you were on the beginning, I talked about how I quit my job and I moved to Europe for 11 months and did all that stuff. And honestly, I was at a point where I was so stressed. Mentally, I was a mess. Emotionally, I was a mess. Spiritually, I was a mess. The only thing that I knew, and I will never forget this, I had a 7th grade health teacher who said, when you work out, your body releases feel-good hormones or feel-good chemicals or whatever, endorphins, serotonin, all these things. And I remember laying in my bed. I was living in, I was in New York, and I was just so depressed. And I got a membership to Crunch.
Yeah.
And every day after, I would go, and I would spend 3 hours a day after work. Whatever the classes were, I just took 3 classes in a row because I just wanted to detach from my life. And what for me, it became that win for the day. If everything else in my life went out the window, if everything else in my life completely just tanked, I had this happiness and this love for myself because I went to the gym and I did these 3 classes. I came home, I felt good, and from there, other areas in my life began to change.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, right? Because at the end of the day, you're exhausted.
Right.
You have a long day. If you're a high performer, the last thing you want to do is, change clothes, slip to the gym, and do that. But for me, it was important. It was a priority. My self-care, my mental, emotional, and spiritual health depended on that 4th pillar, was me getting up and doing it because that's the only thing I could do.
Right.
And other areas change. You start working out, you start to feel better, you look better, you want to eat better. After a workout, you don't want to eat crappy food. You want to eat healthier food. So I started cooking more of my meals, eating better. Then I started sleeping better so I could wake up earlier. And now I'm, reading books and listening to podcasts and watching TED Talks. And then from there, I started journaling. I started, spending more time on spiritual development, getting back into the Bible. All these little things started to happen. But it was a decision. It was a decision for me to say, I'm going to make this time. Because if you're a high performer, almost every single hour of your day is monopolized by something.
Yeah, it's kind of dedicated to some kind of task. or some kind of achievement or some kind of transaction. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and what we don't do, or I would say what we don't do, what most of the times happens is we put everyone else's needs, responsibilities, roles, projects, deadlines, to-dos before our own. And then from there, at the end of the day, we're exhausted.
Yeah.
And then taking care of ourselves, and then we create this spiral. And that goes back to your question, like what changed when I came back from Switzerland? Well, it was that lifestyle. I was like, gotta hustle, you don't work, you don't eat. As an entrepreneur, if I don't show up, then I don't get paid. And, so part of it too is if you are a business owner, and I'll throw this in there just as something that was a real challenge for me, was understanding when to delegate and when to negate.
Right. When
do you delegate things to other people, and when should you say, no, I'm not doing this?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. And that's hard. That's hard for me because I've been an entrepreneur and pretty much working on my own for 8 years. So, by women there, the superwoman syndrome, it's a real thing. It's so real because you're like, I can do it all. I got it. I was raised by, a really, really strong woman. And I watched her growing up just doing amazing things. And to this day, I still am like, how does she do it? I have my mom and my stepmom, too, just amazing women who are so strong. Oh, my mom's on, hi, Mom, she's on IG, she's giving a thumbs up.
Oh, really? Good.
But I had, two moms growing up who, both really hardworking, and I just believe that's what you do.
Yeah.
And so learning how to delegate, learning how to ask for help, learning how to say no. Not only does that free up time in your day to spend more time on yourself, because here's the thing, don't free up space to fill it with other things.
Right.
If you free up space, so when the first time that I got someone to start cleaning my house, I was like, I don't know, I feel weird, like, I'm not that person, like, I don't need someone to clean my home, I can do it myself, but it takes me a good 2 to 3 hours to clean my home the way I want it to be cleaned, and going through it. And my hourly rate when I would charge a client, it starts to translate, right?
Yeah,
so if I'm sitting 3 hours from home, I can be using that 3 hours to create something, build something, do something, train more people, coach more people, and make more money to facilitate what I'm doing, right? But what I did was when I have someone come in to clean my home, I go for a walk or I go work out. Mm-hmm. I actually leave the house. So I'm not tempted to. Because at first I used to sit outside on my patio and work while she cleaned. Mm. I'm like, no, that's not the thing. Go out and do something else. So I use that for myself.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we delegate, we negate, we ask for help. Is that when we free up time, we fill it with things that are going to really pour back into our own self.
Right.
Clear the head, the mind, declutter the space. Yesterday I sat in my car for an hour. I had a meeting that had an hour break, and I was like, I'll go upstairs and do some emails. Like, I'm going to sit, I'm going to roll the windows down, I'm going to put on some music and just sit in my car. And for an hour, that's what I did.
Yeah, just take that time to yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't. Yes, I could maybe have done more, but sometimes you just can't do that. That's not what it's about. And I think as entrepreneurs, business owners, high performers, we have to learn to check in with ourselves.
Yeah.
And say, okay, how am I feeling right now?
Right.
What's going on in my body? What's going on in my mind, my heart, my mental, emotional state? And that's not going to happen if you're going all the time.
Right. So with that, Allison, how do you manage, and what are some best practices in terms of when you're exhausted? Because a lot of people from that hyper work kind of environment and platform, they find it hard to get into their mental and physical fitness because they're just so doggone worn out at the end of the day that they get home, it's 5-6 o'clock, and then for people with families and things like that, they immediately got to jump into this other basically work of children with homework and children with their activities and time with spouse or significant other, and before you know it, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and they're like, and I've seen this happen before. They say, "Well, I was going to work out, but I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow." Right. And then take a bite of a cheeseburger and then go to bed. Right. So what would you say are best practices for those that are they're on go all day and then they're worn out at the end of the day, but they really have the heart to want to invest in their fitness, but they're just tired, they're exhausted. What do you say to that?
Yeah. I think I think the most important thing is, especially for these hyper-active, high performers, business owners, entrepreneurs, wherever you fall on the spectrum, chances are you live and die by your calendar, or you live and die by your schedule.
Yeah.
I have to believe that, because I can't believe that you can do all these things without having some structure to your day.
Right.
So first and foremost, schedule in time for yourself. Sit down, look at your day. For me, at night, before I go to bed, I kind of sit down, I look at my schedule for the next day, and I look at what I have. And, it's anxiety producing sometimes. You look at your next day, and it's like, I color code everything on my Google Calendar, so it's like blue, red, and it's just like, there's really no breaks. And so what I did was, a few things that I do is sometimes if I have a meeting, typically people say, let's meet for 60 minutes, for an hour. I will typically propose to meet for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I will not, typically, unless you're a personal training client of mine, to train for an hour, but other than that, very rarely am I doing a 60-minute meeting with anyone.
Right.
Because we can get through what we get through in about 30 minutes if we are focused, if we're clear, and if you know we only have 30 minutes, let's get right to it. That helps. Because let's say, for example, if someone books me for a 60-minute meeting, I will respond back with a proposed new time and say, actually, can we meet for 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go meeting and go right to the next thing and be flustered and stressed out. That drains your energy. That drains your mental energy, drains your emotional energy. But if you give yourself 20 minutes to kind of regroup and kind of reassess, process what just happened, switch gears, that's the first thing. So schedule in time for yourself, whether it's your workouts. Here's the thing. Sometimes that also is going to be compromise. That's going to mean sacrifice. That may mean, if I look at my day, I'm slammed from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's typically 2 days a week.
Yeah.
I wake up at 4:30 and I work out. Because I know that I need to do it. Because if I don't work out, I become a crazy person. So if I don't do that because I'm too tired, no, you suck it up and you say, hey, I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier and do a quick workout at home. And if I can find more time throughout the day to work out and be active, I'll do it. Yeah. But I'm not going to say, my day is really busy, I'm not going to take time for myself. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to get out of that mentality. And so if you know that by the end of the day you're exhausted, then it means changing your habits to become a morning person and start working out in the morning. Or using your lunch break, or, doing things like that, just going for a walk on your lunch break. Right. I tell them, take your conference calls out. If it's not proprietary information, do that. Think about that. And just go out and do your walks out there. Or, a mentor of mine, he says he does yoga. Some of these long conference calls. Uh-huh. I put them on mute. And I do yoga because yoga's not a loud thing. I roll up my mat in my office and I just do some sun salutations and kind of sit and stretch while I'm on a call. They can't see me. That's brilliant. So I think the biggest thing that I'll tell for any high performer, chances are you live off your calendar, scheduling your time for yourself, and don't cancel. Just like you wouldn't cancel on your boss, you wouldn't cancel on your client, you wouldn't cancel on an important meeting. Right. Don't cancel on yourself. Yeah. I think that's the main thing. Just get creative. Find ways that you can do different things. Find different things that you can do to work it. I wear a Fitbit, so I have this thing to just kind of keep me going. Okay, I've done really well today with my steps, or I've burned this many calories. At 1:11 every single day, my phone goes off and it says, "What are you grateful for?" And that little trigger, that little anchor there, it causes me to pause and be present. Yeah. What am I grateful for? Right? And sometimes that goes off and I feel like I'm not grateful for anything. I'm on this horrible call with this person, or someone just cut me off as I'm trying to get to a meeting and I'm late. And when that goes off, it's like, okay, what am I grateful for? Yeah. I'm grateful that I have that I can drive to this meeting, and that once I get to this meeting, it's going to be a great meeting, and great things are going to happen. Like, so taking that moment, it changes everything. And then I'm like more relaxed, my hormone levels are down, my adrenal glands are now relaxed. I can show up as my best self, because as a high performer, that's what it's about. We have to make sure that whatever we do, that we're always showing up as our best self.
Yeah.
And when we're exhausted, our mental health, emotional health, and those things aren't on point, it's kind of impossible to show up because they're draining and pulling you from other different things.
Yeah, definitely. So, listen, Allison Tibbs has been our guest here on the Minding Your Business podcast, and I'm so thankful to you, Allison, for taking this time out. You've shared some great best practices with us. I know we got listeners, people listening to the podcast, people on Facebook Live. They're all over the country and all over the world, and I know you're in San Francisco. But if people want to connect with you, if they want to do business with you, how can they do so?
It's really, really simple. First of all, you can go to my website, it's AllisonTibbs.com. So ALLISONTIBBS. So just 2 L's, 2 B's. And there's a lot of information there. I'm actually redoing my website, so I'm super excited about that. I'll have a lot more stuff. This video will be up there once the website's up, so people can rewatch it.
Yeah.
Also on social media, I really am all over social media, sharing a lot of just what I do, sharing a lot of practices, sharing a lot of tips on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, all those platforms. It's just my name, so I keep it really simple for you to follow me. Also, earlier we talked about some of the brands I'm involved in. So a lot of those brands, you'll see me on a daily basis. You'll see how I use them. You'll see how I use Shakeology, how I use Real Muscle, how I use, the kombucha, all those things. So, and also too, I'm always looking for people for questions. So if you have questions, or hey, what about this? Feel free to ask, because I like to answer those questions on social media as well.
Okay.
So if you want to learn about that, then just check me out there.
Yep, most definitely will. And that was Real Muscle, so we want to make sure that people are familiar with that if they want to check that particular brand out along with you, which is www.realmuscle.com. So that's real with 2 A's. Let people know, REAALMUSCLE.com, realmuscle.com. And make sure, everybody, that you connect with Allison Tibbs. As you see, she's a wealth of information, and she's very willing to be a support partner for you in your walk around your mental and your physical health. Allison, listen, thank you so much again for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's a little earlier on the West Coast than it is here in the South, the Midwest, but
it's all good.
So thank you again so much, and we're going to talk again soon, okay? All right. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so that was Allison Tibbs, healthy lifestyle expert, joining us from San Francisco, California. And I'm so grateful, so thankful for her sharing that. And thank you to Shay Brown. I want to give a quick shout out to her for connecting me with Allison, having her being the guest here on the podcast. Shay was on episode 48 if you want to go back and check out her particular episode on the podcast. And I want to make sure that you get in touch with her for your media, your press, and your brand partnership exploits and platforms. You need to get with Shay Brown with Royal Kingdom PR. She's Shay at RoyalKingdomAgency.com. That's Shay at RoyalKingdomAgency.com. That's her email. You can also check her out at hello@FitSmartLife, and you heard Allison speak to FitSmart, so you can reach Shay there, hello@FitSmartLife.com. So great info on today. Thank you to everybody that's on Facebook Live. El Mac, what's going on out of Facebook jail? El Mac is out, man. He's out on bail. Derek Sykes, Justin Spencer, what's going on? Tam, what's up, girl? How you doing? Adrian. So Ahen's on. Thank you so much. Rufus, what's going on? So, man, thank y'all so much for joining on the podcast. Hope you have a phenomenal long weekend, as we got Labor Day on Monday. Just a lot of things going on, and we're heading into this home stretch of 2018 really fast. So Make sure that you're on your P's and Q's. Make sure that you're engaged, and again, don't forget your mental and your physical health along the way. So thank you so much to the Facebook Live audience. Thank you to Allison Tibbs for joining. Thank you to Shay Brown. And thank you to all of you. Please share this podcast. We're on all the major platforms, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, anywhere you can find us. Make sure that you check in, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. Go back and listen to past episodes. And we're just going to keep doing what it does. I'm your host, Champ Ron. This is the Minding Your Business podcast.